All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakal Kodash. I want to say and give double honor to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to the elect. World one, where some of those men and women. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And this lesson was inspired by this video Apostle Tahar did entitled Whitney Houston's Egyptian Funeral Procession. And so I'm going to title this lesson, this is something I learned from Apostle Tahar, or Apostle Tahar taught me this Egyptian procession, because I didn't know this. So but I started to look, I looked it up real quick. Just looked through my phone, and then I got on the computer here and looked it up, and it was true, you know. And so I just want to give a little brief history on funeral processions in America and how they go back to ancient Egypt. It's basically like a follow up to what Apostle Tahar put up. He made it really concise. This video, I don't think is going to be too concise because I'm going to go into some history about burial and funeral processions regarding Israel. Because the way you got to understand something, everything we learn in this world is through the eyes of our captors, which are the other nations, our enemies. A lot of things we do in society, they go back to ancient heathen customs, and funerals are one of them. Now, every nation have their own funeral, so-called funeral rituals, things that they do when somebody dies amongst their nation. But these things that we do here in this country, they're not original to our nation, right? And a lot of times these funerals that you watch on television, or that you watch these people have funerals, a lot of them are really Masonic witchcraft rituals. Okay, you got Whitney Houston mother standing at the head of her casket, and she turns around and leaves the casket out of the church, right? I watched a couple of weeks ago. I watched the funeral of Evelyn the Rothschild, and they did similar things, right? His pallbearers actually bowed themselves to this nigga's casket, and then they picked him up, and they ushered him out of the synagogue or whatever, the liberal synagogue. So a lot of these things that you see, putting people in a casket, embalming their bodies, um, uh, taking the blood out, or preserving the blood, preserving the innards, all of that shit that comes from them ancient Egyptian customs, and they're not Israelite customs. Real quick, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. And in this society that we live in, we're forced to learn the ways of the heathen. And then they have you believing that, oh, this is how we always done things. And really, they're just ritualistic. A lot of the things that you do, you're practicing in low level witchcraft, and you don't realize it or know it. Even to dressing in all black, bringing the dead into a so-called holy building. Then this building ain't even holy. Like, these are churches. You see, most people get buried in a church, right? It's supposed to be a holy place, but if you bring the dead in there, you're defiling them, which is symbolic too, because the people that are actually in these churches, they're spiritually dead. They're dead from the neck up. So here it is, you're gonna bring the dead into your so-called holy place, your so-called sanctuary, to usher them out. And not only is that, it's also an economic come up. You know, the church get paid money for you holding a funeral in the church. The pallbearers, well, not the pallbearers, the what did they call them people? The cemetery folk, the people at the funeral homes, that embalm the body, dress the body. You touching the body, you're defiling yourself, and you don't know that. Okay, so I just wanted to go into that. It was beautiful. The Apostle Tahar had showed these pictures of Egyptian funeral processions, and they're the same here in America, because this is America is spiritually what? Sodom and Egypt all over again. Okay, America is spiritually Sodom and Egypt all over again. It's the book of Revelation 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And that's America. This place practiced a lot of the things that mannerisms, customs, rites and rituals, and idolatry that the ancient Egypt did, as well as they practiced the things that were going on in Sodom at a high level here. Okay, it says so it says in their bodies will lie in the main street of Jerusalem, the city that is figuratively called Sodom and Egypt, the city where the Lord was crucified. And it's spiritually or figuratively called Sodom and Egypt, and it's not talking about Jerusalem and Israel, right? This is talking about America. Okay, why? Because figuratively they do the things and customs, they follow the same customs as ancient Egypt, as ancient Babylon, as ancient Assyria, as the ancient Mesopotamian powers, the Neo-Babylonian, the ancient Babylonian Empire. That's what they do here in America, and especially with these funerals. All right. So I just want to go into this real quick, and I hope you're edified. So this is the first thing I found was I typed in U.S. funeral processions come from Egypt on Google, and in an AI overview it says yes, funeral processions originated in ancient Egypt. Importance: the ancient Egyptians believed that funeral processions were a vital part of their spirituality and preparation for the afterlife. And in our custom, the Israelite customs, we didn't do this, right? Now you do read stories about how we were in Egypt, our forefathers gathered the bones of Joseph so they could bury them properly because we were in Egypt. But when we left Egypt, we took everything that was ours, including some of our dead, right? But um, these customs that we follow today, they stem directly from ancient Egypt and other nations' idolatry. So let me keep on reading. Processions. The processions were elaborate and well planned, and took place 70 days after the death. So that's wicked. So that you had a dead above the ground, rotten, right, or so-called preserved for 70 days to plan an elaborate funeral procession. The procession included high priests, which these are all witches and warlocks and witches, mourners, family members, priests, and professional mourners. So they, like Apostle Tahar brought out in this video, you had people getting hired to cry at a funeral, right? They don't even know these people. They just there. You see you ever see the movies where they had a black woman falling all over a casket, crying, losing her damn mind. That all of that shit come from ancient Egypt. They had a sled. The deceased mummified body was placed on a wagon like a sled pulled by oxen, and that's where you get this from. Um, what is it called? A hearse in a black funeral. Well, I just want to type in a hearse in a black funeral, right? Right, these shits. It's the same thing. The modern day sled is the cart, right? You look at a black funeral, black people. Let's look at a black people funeral procession, right? Right. I typed this up. I got this hanging in the thing too. But like shit like this, right? They got the sled, right? That they put the body on, and they put it in a casket. Same thing that the ancient Egyptians did, right? That's what this really is. This is a sled, right? But then they put it in a motorcade, uh, a motorized cade right here. You see right here, this shit right here. This nigga Al Sharpton, celebrated Ryder choked to death at his funeral. This is wicked. You ain't supposed to do that, right? Let's keep on reading. It says the deceased mummified body was placed on a wagon like sled pulled by oxen to the Nile, the boat ride. The procession crossed the Nile on boats to burial grounds in a valley of the kings. The voyage represented the transition from life to the afterlife. Performances. The procession including performances like singing hymns, dancing, casting spells. These acts were meant to revive the deceased senses and allow their spirit to re-enter their body. This is wicked. And you see that going on today. You see at funerals, people be singing songs and dancing, and they casting spells too. Like as if the person is dead. They'll say things like, oh yeah, they sent them off real good, right? What a Nipsey Hustle. Let's go to that one. Nipsey Hustle funeral, right? Yeah, this kind of shit, right? They send him off real good. They dress him up. They have people singing, talking to the casket like like he actually in there listening to you. You know, you got the kids dressed up, right, at the funeral. You know, people singing and dancing. Look, all of this shit come from ancient Egypt. They give them the best home, so-called home going, right? Rolls Royces and a fucking Cadillac hearse. All of that shit is ancient Egyptian customs, right? It says the funeral procession originated in ancient Egypt when a high priest followed by mourners led the coffin full. Led the coffin pulled on a sled to the burial site, and it's the same thing you have happening with this. What did they do? They had the pastor or the priest follow, and then the family follow along in limousines and shit to the burial site, and then they give you your last rites and rituals over the casket, right? They have famous people come talking, all of this shit. This is not an ancient Israelite custom, right? And we're going back to our ways, right? We're going back to our way. It says, seek out the what is the good way, right? Um, Jeremiah 6:16. Jeremiah 6:16. Jeremiah 6:16, right? It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? Walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Because our people, they want the bad way. They want the evil way. Now you see Jake uh mourning over their people, and you don't know that you're committing a sin or you're defiling yourself, right? You don't know that, right? You don't want to know, right? You just so attached to your so-called loved ones in the casket, and you just think that that's the good way to go, but you don't know that you're defiling yourself. Let me see. Um, you look at these black funerals, right? Um, this is wicked. This is wicked. You ain't supposed to do this shit. This shit right here. All these people that's up in here were defiling themselves with these dead bodies. You know, you got Jake touching, and this come from these heathens. These heathens are known for doing that, right? Touching the dead, looking at the dead one last time. You know, all in style. Most people never even seen a dead body until they went to these funerals. You go to these hood funerals, and you see the people walking by, looking at the body, touching the body. I saw a video of this little kid. He ain't never seen it before. He ain't never seen a dead body before. And he's touching the body and shit. You know, this is Emmett Till's body. The mother wanted to have a open casket on purpose to show the world the grim or the gruesomeness of the body. This kind of shit. Open casket funerals. You know, all of this is wicked. You know, people kissing the dead, touching the dead. That's off. You ain't supposed to do that, right? So then I looked up. I read. I went to this website right here. Funeral traditions. Right here, the history of funeral processions, from the sands of ancient Egypt to the streets of today's cities and towns. Funeral processions have been integral part in human culture. And then this is the website right here, off of Sunset Funeral Homes. From the sands of ancient Egypt to the streets of today's cities and towns, funeral processions have been an integral part in human culture for thousands of years. The evolution of these cortèges reflect the diverse cultures of religious and social practices, each adding meaningful layers to a somber ritual. Right? Says the first known processions. Hieroglyphic writings tell us that the ancient Egyptians' processions were deeply intertwined with the spirituality and belief that they needed to be prepared for eternal life. And you don't need that. But this goes back to their ancient megalomaniac mindset. Both grand and meticulous orchestrated. The processions took place exactly 70 days following the individual's passing. Oxen would pull a wagon-like sledge burying the mummified deceased in the edge of the Nile. And that's what happens today when you see these people, they're mummified basically. They got embalming fluid in their body. They done took their body, they done took their they took their innards out their bodies, right? Put it in a bag. Normally they put the bag in the chest, and they close the chest back up, right? They separate the body parts, right? And then they put embalming fluid. They drain the blood out of the body. That's not the way we did things. I typed this up. Where did I find it at? We got law right here. It says right here, ancient Israelite funeral customs. Because first of all, everybody wouldn't be at the funeral. As normally it's a intimate thing with the immediate family. You know how you be going to your cousin and your second and third cousin funeral, your Uncle Bobby funeral and shit. You ain't supposed to do that, right? Ancient Israelite funeral customs, right? Ancient Israelites buried their dead in a variety of ways, depending on their wealth and the time period. Caskets. The body, we didn't have caskets. The body was wrapped in a cloth or burlapped and lowered into the ground without a casket. This tradition is still practiced in Israel today. And on top of that, even Ishmael do the same thing. On Muslims, they don't put their dead in a casket. They wrap their bodies up and they put it in the ground. And why do they? That's an ancient Eastern custom, right? Or they cut out tombs. It says rocks. Wealthier members of society could afford to have their loved ones buried in tombs carved out of soft rock. And that's what happened with Yahushua. Joseph of Arimathea gave Yahushua his burial, right? His tomb. Let me see if I can find it. Right. This is St. Matthew chapter 27, verse I'll start at 57. It says Yahushua is buried. It says, when the evening was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Yahushua's disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Yahushua. Then Pilate commanded that the body be delivered. And Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. That was it. Yahushua funeral didn't even have his mother there. It didn't have none of the 12 disciples there. It didn't have Mary of Magdalene there. They wasn't taking pictures with the body. They wasn't touching it. Obviously, Joseph of Arimathea had to clean the body and wrapped it up. And then he left. He put it in. He put it. I think he had help. I forget who helped him. It was one of the apostles, I believe, helped him. But Joseph of Arimathea um, wrapped the body up, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? They cleaned it, they wrapped it, and that was it. Even when the death of Lazarus, right? The death of Lazarus. Lazarus. Right? You go to the death of Lazarus, and it says now a man named yep Saint John chapter 11. I'm not gonna read that whole thing. I'm just gonna read a portion of it. Saint John chapter 11. Right, the death and resurrection of Lazarus. Now, a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. And it was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. And when Yahushua heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of the Most High, that the Son of the Most High might be glorified thereby. Right? Because Yahushua was going to bring her back to life. She didn't know that, but that was the glory. Now Yahushua loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days till in the same place where he was. Then he after that said he to his disciples, let us go into Judea again. And the disciples said unto him, Master, the Jews late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Yahushua answered, and are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in a day and he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of the world. Let me skip down. It says, then said to his disciples, Lord, if he is asleep, he shall do well. Howbeit Yahushua speak of his death. But they thought that he had spoken of taking rest and sleep. And Yahushua, and then said Yahushua unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And he said, and they couldn't get it. Anyway, it says, then said Thomas, verse 16, then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. Then when Yahushua came, he found that he had lain in a grave 4 days already. So he was already in a grave for 4 days. No funeral. They wrapped his body up. They cleaned it. And that was it. Right? That was it. It wasn't all of this pomp and Egyptian circumstance that you see, all the flowers, and then you got the casket. You know what I mean? Nigga be dead. Like he could smell that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he could see that. Got him in a suit and tie. You know what I mean? The woman is mourning and crying. All of this comes from ancient Egyptian customs. All of this comes now. You can mourn the dead, but we wasn't doing all this shit. You know, we wasn't doing all this shit. And a lot of times, a woman she get all melodramatic. She want to throw a body in a casket. Take me with him, Lord. Take me. You're doing too much. Those are Egyptian customs. That ain't our customs. Let's keep on reading. It says, and many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. They went to them. They didn't come to the funeral. They wasn't at the funeral. And then I'm gonna skip down. And Martha said unto him, knowest that he shall rise again. It says unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Yahushua said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. Now this was talking about also in the spirit. You believe in Yahweh Yahushua, you're going to be alive again, right? So that's what we are today. She didn't understand that, but she did believe in the Lord. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? Saith unto him, yeah, Lord, I believe that thou art Hamashiach, the son of the Most High, Yahweh, which should come into the world. And when she had said, she went her way and called Mary her sister, saying, the master is come and calleth for thee. And as soon as she heard, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Yahushua had not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Martha met him, and the Jews in which there were, and the Jews which were with her in the house, and comforted her. And when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, she goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then when Mary was come where Yahushua was, and saw him, and fell at the feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died, because she know he could have healed him. And when Yahushua therefore saw her weeping, the Jews also weeping with which came with her, he groaned in his spirit and was troubled, and said, where have ye laid him? And they said unto him, Lord, come and see. Yahushua wept. And the Jews behold, and the Jews, and said, then said the Jews, behold how he loved them. And some of them said, could not this man which opened the eyes of blind have caused that even man that he should not have died? Yahushua therefore again groaning in himself cometh to the grave, and it was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Remember, these is what we did. If you had it, you put him in a sepulcher. Yahushua said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, said unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he have been dead 4 days. Right? So I just wanted to bring that out to show you how quick the customs was, man. Especially when it came to the dead. When you deal with the dead, you're not supposed to keep somebody above ground 70 days preserved. We didn't do that. So let me go back to this. Ancient customs. It says rocks cut in tombs. Wealthier members of society. So that means Lazarus was, he was wealthy, but that's besides the point. Whether members of society could afford to have their loved ones buried in tombs, carved out of soft rock. These tombs often had narrow entrances and niches cut into the rock for placing bodies. It says trenches and cis graves. Less wealthy members of society were buried in individual graves dug into the ground. Before the 7th century, some families buried their dead in family caves or tunnels, right? Here are some other aspects of ancient Jewish burials. The body was washed, rubbed with spices and oils, wrapped in cloth. The funeral usually took place on a day of the death. You see, it wasn't no damn 70 days later. Hey, even in this society, Jake don't get put into the ground until they come up with their GoFundMe money or the insurance money kick in, and that takes some days. So you be in a freezer for a whole week. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, you being preserved. That's wicked, man. That's wicked, man. It says the funeral usually took place on a day of the death. Yahweh Shai funeral took place on the day of his death. They had to take his body down off the cross before the sun went down. That's why. That's in accordance with the laws that the Lord gave us, right? If a man is hung up, if he's hung up, he got to be taken down before the sun go down. And that's why Joseph of Arimathea rushed to get Yahweh Shai's body. And what? They had that funeral. They ain't wait for his mother to come and get a GoFundMe up. They ain't wait for his brothers to come, his sisters to come, not even the apostles. They ain't wait for none of them to come to put his body in that tomb. Nah, they did it immediately. So it says the funeral usually took place on the day of death, 8 hours after death. Relatives and friends carried the body to the burial place on a bier. I'm not sure what that is. Blood from the body was buried with it. Songs were sometimes sung about the deceased. Mourning for the deceased lasted 7 days. And we got that in the scriptures, right? It says, right here, it says Ecclesiastes 22:12. 7 days do men mourn for him that is dead, but for a fool and an ungodly man, all the days of his life. Yeah, people mourn for a fool because he's simple. But this is part of our customs. 7 days you put a man, you mourn for that person, and that was it. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 38:16. My son, let tears fall down over the dead and begin to lament as if thou hadst suffered great harm thyself, and then cover his body according to the customs and neglect not his burial. Right? Weep bitterly and make great moan and use lamentations as he is worthy, and that at and that a day or two, lest thou be evil spoken of, and then comfort thyself for thy heaviness. Right? So you got people that still be mourning their dead for years on down the road. You going to the grave site, visiting the grave, putting flowers there, laying on the grave. That's wicked. You ain't supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying? You can mourn for your loved ones for a day or two, and after that, that's it. Unless they'll speak evil of you, or he ain't even care, right? For of heaviness cometh death, and heaviness of the heart break of strength, right? So you get people that be heavy laden with mourning for the dead forever, and that shit come from ancient Egypt culture. Why? Because they would think that the more they mourn, the longer that person will live. And that's what the whole RIP, you see this shit right here. What's it? RIP, RIP, I'm sorry, cutouts for the dead. And they do it all over the country now. But they do cutouts, shit like this. They keep a person's memory alive. Boom in Chicago, business going viral. Where you got people basically having cutouts of the dead like they still alive. When you see posing the dead at a funeral like he's still on a bike. This shit is wicked. Yeah, shit like this. This nigga's dead, but they posted this nigga body up in a chair like he's still playing this game. Like he's still playing this game and eating his favorite foods. This is wicked. You ain't supposed to do that. Even right here. Man gets embalmed and posed for a funeral like he's still alive. Or you do that with your auntie. Her favorite thing was Bush Bear And this woman is dead. This is a corpse with a wig on it, sitting at the damn funeral table with a pack of fucking cigarettes and a cigarette in their hand and a fucking a, 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 a cup of Bush's beer and a cigarette lighter. This is wicked. This is wicked. But all of this shit stem from ancient Egyptian customs. All of this shit stem from that, right? And a lot of reason why a lot of you have all this information about the ancient Egyptian dead because they people made themselves unclean by robbing the dead graves that were packed full of riches and wealth, right? And that's where you get the same thing, black funeral customs. Okay. This is the book of Isaiah 30:1. Apostle Tahar read this in his video. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with these covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And that's what you have. Jakes out there, they're strengthening themselves in the shadow of Egypt. They putting the spirit on them, but not a spirit of the Most High. This is a whole different spirit. You ain't supposed to do this. This is shit. These you think this is all? This is all about championing for the funeral and other people. But this shit goes back to ancient Egyptian customs, right? These funeral processions. And when you do this, you're defiling yourself, right? This is the book of, well, I typed in, right? Laws on funerals for the dead in the Bible. And then it says the Bible does not provide specific instructions on how to handle a body after death, but it does provide some information about burial and cremation practices. Burial was a common practice in the Bible times and was often done in tombs, caves, or in the ground. The most common method of those who could afford it was to bury the dead above the ground in tombs, right? So then you got Leviticus chapter 21, regulations concerning priests. Now, most people will say this, well, I ain't no priest, I'm a priest. Well, yes, you are. If you're an Israelite man, we're all going to be kings and priests, right? This is the book of Exodus 19:6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak to the sons of Israel. That word children there is sons. It's not children as in for including women, right? That word for children, right, is bun, which is son. Bun, son, grandson, child, member of group, male child. So we're a nation of priests. So these laws apply to us. Hey, I see the beauty in why we're gonna get eternal life too. So we don't have to do that. Because we ain't gonna be defiling ourselves with the heathen and they're dead. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Hell no. We're priests. We're priests. Like we come from the priesthood of Melchizedek, which is Yahushua. This is Leviticus 21:1. And Yahweh said unto Moses, speak unto the priests and unto the sons of Aaron, say unto them, there shall none be defiled for the dead among his people, but for his kin that is near unto him, that is for his mother and for his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother. These are only funerals we allowed to partake in. And for a sister, a virgin that is nigh unto him, which have had no husband, for her may he be defiled. So in reality, these are the only funerals that we are allowed to attend. Those of our father and our mother, and for a son or untimely death of a son or a daughter, or for your brother. That's it. Outside of that, you ain't supposed to be going to your granny funeral. You ain't supposed to be going to your auntie funeral, your cousin, your best friend Ray Ray, Mookie, Shonda's little brother. No, we ain't supposed to go to funerals for that, because you're defiling yourself, right? That's what you're doing. You're not even supposed to touch the dead, right? This is Salakia. It's a lot of laws, man. It's a lot of laws we have, right? Um, just bear with me, brothers. Bear with me. right here. Leviticus 21 and 11. Neither shall he go into any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother. Now, this is for the high priest, right? The high priest wasn't allowed to go to nobody's funeral, right? He must not defile himself by going near a dead body. He may not make himself ceremonially unclean, even for the father or mother. Then that's for the high priest. Now, there's another precept, Ezekiel 45 and 25. And they that come at no, and they shall come at no dead persons to defile themselves, but for the father, or for the mother, or for the son, or the daughter, or for the brother, or for the sister that have no husband, they may defile themselves. And after he is cleansed, they shall reckon unto him 7 days. So 7 days, you're unclean for 7 days until after that, you're clean again, right? That's how you do it. You see people touching the dead bodies and shit, kissing the dead, stand like all these people right here in this picture. They're defiled. I mean, niggas just be trying to hold on to their loved ones like they still alive, but this dude's dead with a pamper on, right? You got the nigga acting like he's still driving his car, but if you really seen a dead nigga driving his car, you lose your mind. You got the dude, a boxer, standing up like he's boxing. You got this dude, they open up his eyes, they prop his eyes open up and like he's still alive, man. Oh, you want to see him doing what he loved to do. They got this nigga with Cookie Crisp, Crunch cereal, root beer, and Doritos, man. And and his sunglasses on with a Celtics jersey and some flip-flops on it. And that man there, they got another nigga dressed up like he Green Lantern. Y'all are out of order. You got another dude, he dressed up like he playing card. All these niggas are defiled. They're unclean. They're unclean. They're unclean. It's just unclean. But you can thank America for this. You can thank ancient Egyptian for this. Look, she's through. Even in death, she looked through. Just sitting up in a fucking chair like she's sleeping. And look, defiling herself, touching the dead. And all this comes from ancient Egypt. Um, this is the book of Numbers, chapter 19, verse 11. He that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. He shall purify himself. He shall purify himself with it on the third day, and on the seventh day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the third day, then the seventh day he shall not be clean. Whosoever toucheth the dead body of any man that is dead, and purify not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shah, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel, because the water of separation was not sprinkled upon him, and he shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet upon him. This is the law when a man dieth in a tent. All that come into the tent and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days. You see? So everybody that go to them funerals, you be up in the funeral homes, trying to, all these people right here, these people are unclean, right? These people are unclean. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this out. We got our own customs and laws. And this is the things that through the spirit and power, through the word of Yahweh Bashem and Rashad, we're being gathered together and we're coming back to our nationality. We're being separated from these nations, from the people, starting with the elect, even from amongst our own people. You ain't supposed to do this for the dead, you know? You ain't supposed to do this, you know? You got certain funerals you can go to, but you really just let their family deal with it. It's an immediate family thing, you know? And so with that, I hope you're edified. This is something I learned from Apostle Tahar. With that, say shalom and on to the next.